here to talk about what do capital markets hold in store for us, and whether capital markets are reflecting the true India story, and what are the capital markets telling you right now. And who better than Madhusudan Kela, who's had a journey of, Madhu, now 35 years in Indian equity markets. But you know, Madhu, I was just looking back at the last 10 days, and let me get myopic here. And you know that quote of Lenin, that there are decades when nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. So there's been the budget, there's been the India-US deal, there's been so much volatility in gold and silver prices, so much volatility in equity markets. Is it fair for an equity market watcher to really focus on everything that's going on? Or should we just keep our blinders on and be like, you know, cut the noise, just focus on what's here and what's now?
Aisha, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. 35 years of my experience, I have always put the blinders and focused on what truly matters from a wealth creation perspective. This noise is what creates opportunity. This noise is not a distraction. It's only because of the noise that, you know, many people fall into the noise, and that is what creates prices, and that's what the real opportunity is. But what has worked over decades is your hard work, your understanding, your passion about investing, and about what you truly believe. We say differentiated returns in the markets are made not by following people, but by being alone. You know, you rarely make money if you are with the crowd. Today, everyone is talking. Even my maid is telling the silver ka bahut 10 lakh rupees ho jayega. But you know how many people were there saying that at the time when it was 60,000, 70,000, that it could go forex. You would have been a loner at that time. So I think it's always, as an investor, you have to just focus on what truly matters for you and make noise and volatility as your friend. Volatility is my biggest friend. You know, if there is no volatility, where will I get the opportunity?
So what did you tell your maid then, is my question. To sell silver now or hold it?
Honestly speaking, I felt like when she told me, I felt like selling all the silver which you have in the house. Because if it has reached to that level...
Okay, so there you go. One recommendation on silver for sure. But, you know, Madhu...
It has already fallen 50% with that.
It has. That's the nature of the beast. But, you know, just coming back to your journey and linking it to equity markets, you've seen so many of these boom and bust cycles, Madhu. You've seen so much structural change in India. When you look back at your 35 years, and when you now look ahead the next 15 or 20 years, what's the message that stays with you?
So the biggest thing for me has been the real entrepreneurship of Indians and Indian entrepreneurs. And, you know, the resilience which I see in Indian entrepreneurs, the perseverance which I see, the determination which I see, against all odds, they are just at it, you know. The people who really make it. I am not talking about generally for everyone. The people who have really made it, they are always at it. They are not like what you discussed earlier. They are not distracted by noise that this is not happening, that is not happening. But rather, they are, you know, pursuing something which they truly believe, and against all odds. That is what, and that has been, to my mind, the real India story. That we have had so many changes, so many fragile governments. You know, 1992 happened, and then Gulf War happened, and X, Y, Z. But if you look at, there's been individual companies which has gone up, like in my career, 1,000 times, 2,000 times, 3,000 times, 4,000 times. But people have just been able to be relentlessly there. And in my understanding, that doesn't change. So today also, as an investor, what I really look, am I able to really identify a jockey, right? Someone who is at the helm and who will be able to drive it and will not get distracted. And if you find that, that is the real winning idea. And that has been a real winning idea for India. If you look at in the face of what has happened, there are Ambanis and there are Adanis and there are Jindals who have created billions and trillions of dollars of empires in this very country. And there are other sets of people you will find they are still cribbing, they are still complaining. Sarkar ye nahi kar rahi hai, Sarkar wo nahi kar rahi hai. But at the end of the day, a real entrepreneurship is not about blame game. It is about truly believing in your own self and pursuing what you believe. Obstacles will come, but that's the job of an entrepreneur, right?
Absolutely. And, Madhu, it's so interesting that you talk about perseverance, cutting the noise. And I think one sect of investors which has followed that all through the last, at least from COVID lows up until now, is the retail mutual fund investor. They were the ones which really supported the market, at least last 2 years when FIIs were busy selling India. We had an exodus of $22 billion of outflows from the capital markets. But the faith of Indian investors, that's the one which has kept the Indian markets afloat. Do you think structurally Indian capital markets are in a good shape for their faith to actually hold true and come true?
Yeah, I would say they have been the real hero of this last bull run. If you see, they are the people who have really made money. The other thing, Aisha, equity as an asset class has changed shapes. Even I have seen it very closely from a satta-driven market to a tip-driven market to someone now, at least 13 crore people in India believing that it is a real asset class and we want to invest money and we want to invest for real long term. See, something as little, it took years for people to understand that a small amount of saving invested over a long period of time can actually generate disproportionate wealth and can generate, generations of financial security. Like what we discussed last time, 11,000 rupees saved per month in a respectable mutual fund. A mutual funds by and large have given, let's say, 14% return in last 25 years. If we believe this is what is going to continue for the next 50 years, if you save 11,000 rupees per month, you can gain 100 crores after 50 years. So that's the real power of belief in investing. And I think somewhere down the line, this message has gone loud and clear. And if I compare last 25 return of banks and mutual fund, it's been disproportionately larger money on an absolute basis is being made by people who have believed in India. And I think that is not likely to change. Unless there is a real some black swan which happens, which shakes the investor. I think this faith is only going to get built up and you will see much larger flows over the next 1 decade from Indian investors. And this will come in the face of whether foreigners are buying or selling.
Kudos to that. But Madhu, when you talk about structural shift, there is so much talk around AI right now. What's it going to do? Is it going to create job losses? What's going to happen to IT services companies? We are seeing every day what's happening to IT stocks for sure. One news flow out of China or the US and the stocks react 5% on a daily basis or sometimes even hourly basis. Is there opportunity for Indian investors to buy into this weakness? Or should they wait for the dust to settle down? And, more importantly, what is the reality of it all? Will AI really take away IT services as we traditionally have known it?
So I am also like a student in this arena right now. I am also learning as much as everyone else is. I would just only put 2 points. Technology has never ever made life difficult for people in the last 50 years, right? Every time there has been a technology, it has only made life easier and society is more prosperous than where we came in. So when computers came in, a lot of people were struggling what will happen to typewriters and people who are driving typewriters, right? When cars came in, people were struggling what will happen to people who are driving horse carts, right? But over a period of time, we have seen that societies adapt to technologies and it brings in more prosperity. Every time the new technology comes in, the fear is as it is today, that this will, and today in my own office, forget everywhere else, there is an atmosphere that will not need any lawyers, will not need any doctors, will not need any analysts, will not need any chartered accountants. Everything will be done by AI and it will create millions of job losses. Now, I don't think the verdict as of now is out there. We don't know what kind of legal changes could come in operating of these AI engines. So, but one thing, if I go by the past, technology has made life easier. The second thing which is really happening to counterbalance is these GCC centers, Global Competence Centers. That is the real boon, according to me, for India. You talk of any real big multinational company, and they have their operations here. And these are value-added jobs. Unlike a software job which used to pay you 3 lakh rupees, these are like paying 8, 10 lakh, 15 lakh rupees. And the numbers are very large. Now more than 25 lakh people are employed in GCCs, right? And this is still yet happening. So when I do, let's say, the sum total of some losses here, some gains there, at least I have always remained an optimist in life. I have no reason to believe that India as a country, will face massive challenges because of AI. Maybe we'll convert this as the biggest opportunity and we'll become the biggest AI layer provider, solution provider. Because at the end of the day, AI doesn't do anything on its own. Even if you have to integrate AI to something, you will still need people. And pardon my knowledge on this, I am neither a technology expert nor an AI expert. But my general sense tells me that this GCC will significantly compensate the losses which we are going to have on the AI sector, on the software side. Coming down to your question of whether we should buy the software stocks, I think let it settle down. It will be my thing that, at the end of the day, we have to see how the growth rate pans out and what kind of projections these companies are giving, what kind of guidance these companies are giving for the next 1-2 years.
Understood. Because good news and good prices don't come together. That's why I asked that question. So you're saying as an investor, right now, the opportunity is in data centers and the ecosystem around it.
In spite of all the noise, IT sector still remains a large sector in India with a lot of institutional ownership. And they are at the middle of it. So at least for me, I would like to watch before jumping in.
So other than this, the other structural shift around is around renewable energy. Unfortunate as it may be that the listed pool as of now is very, very small. 10 years from now, how big could that opportunity be for an investor?
It is not small. It's not small. In fact, now it is expanding. And this is the best example of entrepreneurship and government really working together. A sector which was kind of non-existent in India 10 years back is become one of the largest sector in India now today. In terms of EBITDA, it will have maybe more than 1,25,000 crore rupees of EBITDA next year, right? Only coming from renewable, which is larger than IT, larger than pharma, larger than in many sectors which are operating, right? And from saying that we have to import all the modules to cells to wafer, now it is all being talked that it will a significant portion of the already been done in India and rest it is in the pipeline. So I think this is kind of a case study, Aisha, in my opinion, how government can really support any industry to come up. And that's exactly what they're doing for electronics. They're doing similar thing for defense, right? So there is, if we take this as a case study and implement the same rhythm into a lot of other sectors in India, I see similar successes could happen in a lot of other sectors. Renewable energy has been a true success story for India in the last 10 years.
As an investor, Madhu, a lot of overhangs are now behind us, event-related as well. You know, the India-US trade deal, budget, etc. Earnings recovery is already very well in place. Where is it sectorally that other than the two sectors, you're finding opportunities right now at good prices?
So first on the trade deals, I think this has been a landmark year for India. We are, again, something which is kind of underappreciated. We did the EU deal, which was pending for 20 years. We did the US deal. We did trade deals with 7, 8 other countries. As they say, every adversity brings opportunity. So this kind of US adversity for a year got us 8 trade deals, which were pending for decades, right? So this is a big thing. Again, if I take a one decade view, so I think kudos to our Prime Minister and our Commerce Minister for getting things done on the ground. The opportunity one sector, again, is on the AI application. I said this is one thing which will really generate disproportionate return, in my view, that wherever you could apply AI and either you could save cost or you could really accelerate your business. Because technology is to be used for productive purposes. And whatever we are understanding, AI will be used for productive purposes. And you will see many companies, right now there are very few in the listed domain, but you will see many companies in India come up in this arena which will use AI and accelerate their businesses, cut costs dramatically, and have really improved margins for years and years ahead for us.
Madhu, we were talking about the last time we met that there is enough liquidity in the market. It's just that a lot of other avenues have opened up. There's private equity markets, so many new IPOs, etc. What would it take for the markets to move to the next leap forward? And will FIIs have to make a comeback for us to see that alpha generation?
So I think broad markets, Aisha, because there is a dominance of sectors like software, like FMCG, broad markets, and one has to also remember that the nominal growth rate in India has fallen to 9-10%. And it's a good thing that our inflation is so much in our control. So I don't think in the broad indices one should expect more than 10-12% return per annum, because that is the kind of earning growth which is there. But there will always be hidden gems. That is what we are talking. If you are able to really identify themes and sectors and entrepreneurs, those will be alpha generators. And that is where investors' focus should be. That what is the next real big theme, and one of the themes which we discussed is the AI layer, which will be implemented by many companies.
Okay. The eternal India bull, Madhu Kela, thank you so much for your time today. Great to be speaking with you, and renewed confidence in the strength of Indian capital markets. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.